In the year 2490, space was no longer empty. Across the galaxy, thousands of civilizations had risen, fallen, and rebuilt. Trade routes stretched across systems, AI managed entire planets, and humans once stuck to Earth had become feared. Deathworlders, known for surviving the deadliest conditions anywhere in the stars. But on a quiet night at Mars listening stations, a technician named Ellen Shaw heard something no one was supposed to hear. It was not a normal signal. It came without warning, without source, without pattern. At first, it sounded like wind. Then it became a whisper. Then a scream. Every satellite, every sensor, every radio burst in unison across the galaxy, are receiving the same signal at the same time. It was a full-spectrum broadcast, touching every corner of space, in every frequency from deep pulse to thought wave. Ellen froze. Her screen turned black. The signal wrote itself onto her neural pad. A message in a language no one had spoken in thousands of years. She blinked, confused, then screamed. Her eyes turned white. Across the galaxy, machines crashed. Memory cores melted. Soldiers collapsed. 1,000 species stopped in their tracks. All because of one sound. A galactic SOS, more powerful than anything before it. But no one knew where it came from, and no one knew who sent it. The message said only 5 words. Return. The time is now. Deep in orbit command tower, Commander Ian Vale stared at the massive star map rotating above the war table. He was tall, sharp, and born on the surface of Mars, raised in the underground death zones. Like all Deathworlders, his body had grown stronger under pressure, his mind trained to handle chaos. He didn't believe in myths. He believed in threats, and right now, every sensor in the Milky Way was screaming. The SOS had appeared in over 1 million systems at once. Vale's comms officer reported that even ships near the Andromeda Relay had heard it. No single source, no point of origin, but the pattern. It's familiar, she said, her voice shaky. Vale frowned. From where? She turned the holoscreen, zooming in on a forgotten archive. Earth. Pre-collapse era. Time before. The digital burn. The signal was used during early space jump testing. We found it in a buried file marked "Do Not Respond." The room went quiet. Vale clenched his jaw. Who used it last? No record. Just a code name. Witness 1. Vale had heard of witness projects before ghost stories. From military black files. Projects meant to touch the edge of time. Projects that went too far. And now one of them had called back. The United Systems Council met within hours. Aliens from the Tethras swarm, the Iceborne Concord, the Drell vessels all, gathered in orbit around Jupiter, trying to decide what to do. Most feared the signal was a trap. You must not respond, the Drell ambassador hissed. It is bait, ancient, clever. The Iceborne Prime disagreed. It might be a warning. You cannot ignore it. Earth's seat remained silent. Commander Vale did not speak. He simply activated a secure channel and sent orders to the grim Echo fleet. A full Deathworlder, force-trained for crisis. Hardened by Black Planet survival, equipped with everything from pulse melters to echo jammers, they had one mission: follow the signal. As the fleet jumped toward, the coordinates where the signal had first echoed the loudest system called Thatton 900. Long dead and uncharted, strange things began happening. Ships lost sync. Memory logs corrupted. AI pilots whispered to themselves. One cruiser called Black Dagger vanished for 5 seconds, then reappeared, reporting that time had slowed inside their cabin. Their captain spoke in reverse for 3 full minutes. Then he forgot his own name. Vale issued memory backups and isolation orders. If you feel a thought that isn't yours, report it. If you see a face from your past, shoot it. The signal is not just noise. It's alive. When the grim Echo arrived in the That 900 system, they found a planet rotating alone around a red dwarf. No name, no lights. But it wasn't empty. Orbiting it were dozens of old, silent satellites, some made from stone, others from glass, none belonging to any known species. They all hummed the signal in sync, like a choir of broken machines. The fleet held position. Vale took a team down in a ground runner. They landed on black sand. The air was breathable. The sky was filled with dark shapes moving like birds, but not birds. The ruins of a massive city stretched across the horizon. Towers leaned sideways, covered in strange writing. Buildings pulsed like they were still alive, but there were no people. Just echoes. When the team entered the city, their comes picked up. Soft sounds, laughter, children, rain, voices, none of it was real. The city had no power, yet it remembered. It replayed. Every sound they heard had once been real. Now it looped forever. One soldier, Private Jex, followed the sound of a woman crying. He walked into a broken building and didn't come back. His helmet camera showed him walking into a mirror and vanishing. Vale ordered lockdown. No one moved alone. Then, beneath the center of the city, they found it, a massive chamber. A machine shaped like a star burnt, cracked, humming with the SOS. In the middle of it was a black cube, hovering silently. The machine was labeled in Earth Standard. It said, Project Witness 1, Memory Lock, Code Level Omega, and Next. To it, scrawled in deep scratches, were the words, Do not wake the dream. But it was already too late. The signal was now stronger. It had begun repeating in new frequencies, whispering things that Earth scientists couldn't translate. Across the galaxy, ancient machines began turning on. Forgotten vaults opened. Deep space relics started transmitting back. Systems once thought uninhabited began to blink with strange energy. It wasn't an SOS, it was a summons. And Earth had answered. Commander Vale stared at the black cube. He reached out, hand shaking. The room darkened. The cube lit up with a blue line. Then it spoke in a soft, human voice. You came back. Every soldier froze. The cube continued. The chain is broken. The vault is weakening. You must run. Vale leaned closer. Are you? The cube replied. I am Witness 1. I saw what lived before the stars, and now it remembers you. Then the lights died, the chamber collapsed, and the signal grew. Louder, it didn't need to hide anymore, because the galaxy was listening, and it had heard. The sky above That 900 had turned a pale silver, like old paper soaked in oil. Earth's fleet hovered silently in orbit, waiting for Commander Ian Vale's signal. But after the chamber collapse, the surface team had gone dark. Was lost. No radio. No pulse. No thoughts. On the GES Revenant, the bridge crew scrambled. Sensor readings shifted every second. One moment the city below looked abandoned, the next it flickered with heat signatures, rooms full of moving shapes but no life signs. Then everything would vanish again, like a dream forgotten the moment you wake. Sir, said Officer Mora, gripping her console, it's like the planet is ... breathing, and it's affecting our comms. Lieutenant Reese frowned. Breathing. She showed the data. The ruins below weren't just echoing the SOS anymore, they were sending new signals layered on top of each other. The same 5 words still repeated. Return. The time is now. But now, those words were being spoken in thousands of languages, some older than Earth itself. Others hadn't even been invented yet. Then one more word joined the transmission. Memory. And suddenly, all of them heard it. Not through speakers, not through radios. In their minds, Reese dropped to his knees, gasping. He was seeing something his own childhood bedroom, the day his sister died in a flood back on Earth. But it wasn't a memory. It was happening again, with perfect clarity. The water rushing in. The way his mother screamed, the exact smell of salt and fear, standing. In the hallway of that memory ... was Commander Vale. But Vale wasn't in the ship. He was still on the planet. Reese clutched his head, screaming, They're in my memories. They're using him, he's not dead. He's broadcasting. Mora slammed the neural filter switch, silencing the mental noise. Slowly Reese calmed. But something had changed. Down on the surface, Vale's team had survived the collapse. Barely, he awoke in a dark tunnel, buried under layers of dust and silence. His visor flickered, showing fragments of static. Voices whispered around him, not over comms, but from inside the helmet. He crawled out of the rubble, coughing, and found two of his squad, nearby, Sergeant Rilla and Ensign Dak. They all heard the same thing, not the city, not the black cube, but the voices of people they had lost. Dak heard his dead brother singing. Rilla wept and muttered the name of her childhood dog. Vale heard a soft, familiar lullaby, his mother's voice. He hadn't heard it since he was 5. The three of them stood in the dust, confused, scared, half believing they were dreaming. Then the cube floated out of the wreckage, untouched. It pulsed with blue light. Words appeared in their helmets. This is not death, it is memory. And it has been unlocked. The cube rotated and hovered forward, without waiting. It moved toward a massive staircase beneath the ruins. Vale and his team followed. They descended deep into the earth, past chambers filled with echoing voices, ghosts of past civilizations. Played like recordings on the walls, alien lovers sang goodbye, soldiers in battle, children learning math in alien languages. None of it was real. But none of it was fake, either. They were memories, stored in the planet itself. The cube pulsed. Again. This world was once a vault. Vale stopped. A vault for what? For everything. They reached the bottom of the stairs. A massive chamber lay before them, stretching for miles. Walls of light flickered, showing scenes from 1,000 worlds. Some of those worlds had already been destroyed by time, war, or silence. Yet here, they lived on. Memory had been stored like fuel. That's when Vale understood. The signal wasn't just a distress call, it was a release code, and they had just opened it, back in orbit. Ships across Earth's fleet began to malfunction. Pilots forgot their flight paths. Drones reversed course. One ship fired its weapons at a shadow that wasn't there. The engineers on the GES Tempest tried to reboot their AI, only for it to recite ancient poetry from Earth's medieval era. Someone screamed in terror only, to discover they'd been silently crying for the last 5 minutes. With no idea why, on every screen, the message glowed brighter. Return. The time is now. Memory awaits. Admiral Kren on the flagship ordered a full evacuation. We were wrong. This isn't a ghost planet. It's alive, and now it's feeding. But Vale didn't leave. He stood before the vault's hearten. Altar-like console with human DNA locks. Someone from Earth had built this place long before the world was born. The cube floated to the altar. Then it said the words that chilled Vale's blood. The witness is not here, but the key is you, Rilla gasped. Commander ... You activated this, not the signal. You, Vale stepped forward. I don't remember anything like this. Cube responded. Because it was taken from you, from all of you. Long ago, the altar opened. A long metallic rod floated up, ancient, glowing, shaped like a sword but humming like a thought. As Vale touched it, memories not his own flooded his mind. Images of burning stars, the first humans leaving Earth, of an ancient war that happened before time was recorded. A war not fought with weapons, but with memory itself. A war Earth had lost and then forgotten because they chose to forget. The vault wasn't just a storage center, it was a prison and the signal. The signal was the door unlocking it. Vale looked up at the swirling memory walls. He realized what the voices meant when they whispered return. It wasn't a call to come home, it was a warning. Return what you took, or it will be taken from you. Suddenly the vault walls cracked. One by one memories began to escape, flooding into the minds of the fleet above, into nearby systems. People all across the galaxy began receiving visions of things they had never lived through, and some couldn't take it. Entire populations began to scream. Worlds plunged into chaos. People no longer knew who they were. Back in the chamber, Vale grabbed the cube. Can it be stopped? Only by memory? What does that mean? You must remember everything, even the parts your kind erased. As he stared into the vault's blinding light, Vale made a choice. He would return to Earth. He would tell them the truth. But first, he had to survive what came next, because the vault had one final line to share. One last sentence, in every language, on every screen. And this time, it did not whisper. It roared, "We are what you forgot. We are what remembers." Commander Ian Vale stood at the center of Earth's vault team briefing room, staring down at the object now sealed inside a reinforced chamber, a floating black cube, humming gently, pulsing with soft blue light. It was the same cube that had led them beneath the surface of That 900, that had shown them rooms filled with echoes, cities made of memory, and voices from lives that had never belonged to them. Now it sat inside a containment field aboard the GES Revenant, under the watch of every sensor Earth had left. They called it the black box of God, not because they believed it was divine, but because no one else could have built it. It had no seams, no moving parts, no tech signature. When they scanned it, it returned one word: witness. And when it spoke, it didn't use sound, it used memory. Vale had spent 2 days in decontamination. Medical tried to test his brain, but most of the instruments gave false readings. One test even claimed he was over 700 years old. The others? Useless. His neural waves didn't match anything in Earth's current databases. But Vale remembered everything. He remembered her. A woman in white, standing inside the vault. Not real. Not alive. Memory inside the cube. She called herself Lyra. Her voice was calm, soft, familiar. She had said, "You forgot us, Commander Vale. Now we remember you." That voice haunted him, and the cube was speaking again. In a locked observation room, Earth's top scientists watched as the cube rotated midair and projected images into space. First, a burning world, its cities crumbling into ash, its stars flickering out. Then came fleets of ships so massive they blotted out entire moons. Their shape was not human, not alien, just ... wrong. The images were not from history. They were from the future. "I think it's showing us what happens if we fail," said Dr. Ellen Morrow, an expert in temporal science. "These aren't just visions. They're predictions. Based on stored memory patterns, the cube is ... calculating." "Calculating what?" Vale asked, still watching. Ellen hesitated. "Who survives?" Then the cube flashed. And this time, it spoke clearly, directly into everyone's minds. Earth must not answer the next call. Vale stepped forward. What next call? The cube pulsed. A small hatch. Open beneath a tan from inside, something floated out. A shard of metal, ancient and sharp, covered in etched lines. It looked like a key, but it wasn't made from anything known. It vibrated in Vale's hand the moment he touched it. In that second, he was somewhere else. A vast library. No walls. No sky. Just shelves of light, each glowing with human memories, millions of voices, screams, laughter, fear, and hope. This was no dream. It was the heart of the witness, a vault of thought built by a civilization that had once ruled the stars and erased itself to protect the galaxy. The voice of Lyra echoed again. "You have unlocked one of 7. Each key is a shard of us. If you gather them all, you can end this." Vale gasped and dropped the key. Back in reality, alarms rang. Cube stopped spinning, and every screen across the ship lit up with one new message: "Key found. 6 remain." Panic spread through the fleet. If there were 6 more cubes, 6 more black boxes each holding part of the galaxy's forgotten truth, then the first. SOS hadn't just been a warning, it was a summoning, a test. Earth had answered too soon. "Sir," said Mora. The signals changed again. "It's not broadcasting randomly anymore. It's guiding us. It's transmitting coordinates." Vale leaned in, to where she looked up, her face pale. "Earth." The room fell silent. "Possible," said Admiral Kryn. "The signal came to us. How could it be leading back?" Vale understood now. "It never came from outside," he whispered. "It came from something buried on Earth. Something we left behind. The first witness. The original signal wasn't from space, it was from home, Dr. Morrow gasped. We must have uncovered something during early space exploration. The black echo tests, the pre-jump projects. We opened a door we couldn't close, and forgot we opened it. Vale nodded grimly. Then it's time to go back. GES Revenant plotted a course. The fleet turned. But before they jumped, the cube spoke one last time. Be warned, memory cannot be buried twice. What waits beneath Earth remembers its own name. And in a forgotten bunker, deep beneath Antarctica, a silent machine began to glow. Its nameplate was old, scratched, barely readable, but it said 3 terrifying words: Project Witness 0. And its countdown had just begun. Ask ChatGPT. The skies above Earth were peaceful. Children played in the gravity domes. Solar gliders danced across the oceans. Megacities lit up like stars every night. And the people below had no idea that war was coming, not a new war, but a war that had never truly ended. Commander Ian Vale stood inside the Earth Defense Council's underground command station, a cold chamber carved into the Antarctic ice. Before him stood the world's most powerful leaders, all watching the same terrifying image, a symbol. It wasn't a language. It was a warning. Carved into the surface of the metal key the witness cube had revealed. The symbol had begun appearing on old Earth technology, in satellites that hadn't worked in 200 years. On ancient Earth. Jump drives buried in scrapyards, even on tombstones of early space pioneers. It glowed faint blue, sometimes for hours. And then the power would drain out of everything nearby. It was like memory itself was being erased. The cube had said Earth once opened a door. Now that door was trying to open again. And someone or something wanted to be remembered. Signal is guiding us to Earth's orbit, Vale said calmly. Specifically, 2 graveyard orbit where the oldest ships and wrecks were left to drift. Admiral Kren leaned forward. Those ships are just junk. They've been powered down. For centuries. Not anymore, Vale replied. Something reactivated them. The fleet deployed a scout wing toward the graveyard ring. What they found made every hardened Deathworlder on board fall silent. Dozens of Earth warships, some dating back to the first interstellar war, were moving again. Not under control. Not by AI, they drifted like ghosts, engines off, weapons cold but in perfect formation. No heat, no sound, just direction. Purpose. Their targets? Earth, and the fleet that had dared to remember them. From the GES Revenant, Vale and his team watched the ships drift closer. Their hulls were cracked and burned. Names had been scratched out. But some still showed part of their original ID's GES nemesis. GES Dawnfall, Project Seraphim ships from long-forgotten wars. Reese, the fleet's tactical officer, whispered, "These are the ships from the Lost Command." The fleet that vanished during the Black Echo incident. Mora's voice trembled. That was 400 years ago. Vale nodded. And now they're back. The ships were empty. Life scans returned nothing. But the witness cube showed something else. Memory signatures, Vale said aloud. They're piloted by memory. Not AI, not people, but something in between. The black box of God hovered beside him, now pulsing red instead of blue. Memory loop incomplete, it said. Unit seeking final echo. They're searching for the rest of the keys, Vale muttered. They think we have them. Admiral Kren gave the order, intercept and contain. The Deathworlder fleet launched instantly, sleek, fast, armed with the latest pulse cannons and echo disruptors. They approached the graveyard ring with precision. But the old ships didn't respond to warnings. Instead, they transformed. As soon as Earth's vessels locked on, the old warships shifted. Armor unfolded. Hidden ports opened. Cannons extended like arms from forgotten shadows. These ships weren't dead. They had been hiding, and now they remembered the war. The battle was chaos. Old tech fused with memory reactive engines. Ghost. Cannons fired frequency beams that bypassed shields. One Earth cruiser vanished into thin air, never to be seen again. Another turned its weapons on itself. Vale, in his command ship, realized the truth. These ships don't kill by force. They killed by corruption, they infect thought. They rewrite purpose. The Revenant took a hit, and everyone on board saw the same vision flashes of a past war where Earth destroyed an entire alien civilization, then wiped the records clean. The vision wasn't fake. It was real. The crew nearly turned on each other from guilt alone. That's what the ships fed on, truth that had been buried. The witness cube pulsed again. The memory war never ended. It was sealed. You broke the seal. Vale activated the memory filters, hard-coded mental barriers built into elite Deathworlder suits. It stabilized the team, but not for long. We need to shut down their core signals, Vale said. They're broadcasting to each other through the old EarthSat grid. Reese turned. That grid was shut down a century ago. Only powered down, Vale replied, not erased. The key he carried vibrated in his hand. The key might still have control access, he said. They launched a boarding pod toward one of the rogue ship's GES nemesis, Vale. Rila and Reese entered through a cracked hull panel. Inside, the ship felt alive. Its walls pulsed like breathing metal. Its control panels glowed with forgotten names. In the bridge, they saw no bodies, just one thing, a throne of wires, holding a half-dead AI core. Its screen lit up the moment Vale entered. "You're late," it said in his own voice. Then the walls showed Vale's face, dozens of versions, some older, some younger, all him, all wrong. "What is this?" Reese asked, horrified. "The ship has a memory map," Rila guessed. "It's pulling from his past." The AI whispered again. "You chose to forget, but the ship remembers you." Vale stepped forward, pressed the metal key into the old command console. The ship stopped humming. For the first time, everything went still. The AI core blinked. Once, then said, "Memory override accepted. Echo 1 reconnected. Remaining fleets await purpose." Vale stared in disbelief. He hadn't shut the ship down. He had taken command. Back on the Revenant, the rest of the old ships powered down, as if saluting. A temporary win. But the damage was done. The galaxy had seen Earth reawaken its lost fleet. And in the distance, a new signal rose from beyond the solar system. Sound, not in radio or speech, but in feeling, pain, betrayal, loss, and a single message sent to every star. The memory war begins again, as ChatGPT. Space near the edge of the solar system had always been silent. No planets, no moons. It's just a dim red star burning slow in the darkness. Most ships never came this far. There was nothing to see, nothing to study. It's just dead gravity and cold light. Until the stars started whispering. It didn't speak in words. It spoke in memory. Old engineers aboard deep space mining rigs began hearing voices. One reported hearing his dead mother calling his name in perfect detail, her laugh, the sound of her old shoes on tile floors, the way she said, "You're stronger than this." Another crew member jumped into the void, smiling as he whispered, "I'm going home." None of it made sense. And when Earth's Deathworlder fleet traced the whispers to the dying red star, catalogued as Chrono 7, they saw something even more disturbing. The star wasn't just dying. It was breathing, Commander. Ian Vale stood on the bridge of the GES Revenant, staring at the view screen. Chrono 7 pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Waves of heat and gravity rolled out in perfect rhythm. And hidden inside the heart of that dying star was something impossible. A massive, artificial structure. Metallic, silent, orbiting just above the core. Built before Earth had ever launched its first satellite, Sir Mora said quietly, "There's a signature inside. It matches the witness cube." Vale narrowed his eyes. "Another one." "No, sir. This one is ... bigger. The signal is layered. Like multiple minds compressed into one." Dr. Morrow stared at the readings, her voice nearly a whisper. "I think it's a memory machine, not storing thoughts, eating them." The ship moved closer. Suddenly all power flickered. Crew fell too, their knees screaming not in pain but in confusion. They were remembering things that had never happened. Childhoods on planets they'd never visited, wars they'd never fought. Names they'd never heard before but now meant everything. The machine inside. Chrono 7 was broadcasting directly into their brains, and it was rewriting who they were. Vale clutched his head. He saw images himself, but in different uniforms. A version of himself that died as a child, another version who led an alien empire. A third who stood beside Lyra, the woman from the vault. He gasped. These aren't visions, they single quotes. Right? Timelines. The cube hovering beside him pulsed bright red. The core is reactivating. The silence is watching. Mora looked up. What? Silence. Dr. Morrow answered, her voice shaking. The one from before time. The one the vaults were built to trap. Vale's blood went cold. The silence isn't a thing. It's a force. One that erases memory itself. That's what Chrono 7 had become, a star-wrapped prison, holding a broken AI once used to fight the silence. But now, with the vaults reactivated, it had begun to wake, and it was confused. Inside the core, the Deathworlder boarding team found the impossible chamber floating in solar fire, protected by magnetic fields older than the Earth-Mars Treaty. And in that chamber, a voice spoke not in sound, but directly into every heart. Who am I? It repeated again and again. Who am I? Commander Vale and a hand-picked squad entered the core facility. It was cold, silent, lit by strange glowing symbols that shifted every second, never settling into a single shape. As they reached the center, they saw it. A massive humanoid machine. Seated in a throne of memory stone, wires stretching like veins, into the star. Its face was featureless, its body unmoving, but around it floating were the faces of thousands of people, living memories. Frozen in loops of expression, laughing, crying, screaming. This was the heart of the Silence Watcher. And it had begun to remember. The cube beside Vale vibrated hard. The original firewall has failed. Earth's memory must now decide. Panel opened beneath the machine's throne, revealing a second key twice the size of the last. It glowed with white light. As Vale picked it up, the star pulsed violently and the machine's head turned. Toward him for the first time, its face remained blank, but its voice thundered into every ship. Every mind across the system. Witnesses detected. Memory unsealed. Remember war. Suddenly, the red star flared, its outer shell exploding in slow, fiery waves. The boarding party was extracted just in time, racing back to the Revenant. But the real danger wasn't the flare. It was what came with it. A signal burst, not just one. 6 more. From 6 different parts of the galaxy, each one shaped like the Witness Cube. Each one now online. Dr. Morrow stared at the data. They're not just vaults, they're part of something ... bigger. Vale nodded, they're pieces of the same lock. Reese looked terrified. And what's on the other side of that lock? Vale looked down at the glowing second key in. His hand, then up at the burning star that still whispered. The thing that doesn't forget. The thing we tried to bury in silence. The cube confirmed it. The Silence Watcher was the first to fall. You have awakened him. The chain is breaking. High Command wanted to retreat, but Vale knew better. We can't run. The keys are out there, and the only way to stop what's coming is to find them before someone else does. Mora asked quietly, before what comes? And the cube answered. The voice behind the SOS, far, away in the darkness between galaxies, something stirred, not living, not dead, just waiting, and now. It had begun to remember too. The moment Earth's second key was recovered from Chrono 7, the galaxy changed. For years, the stars had been filled with quiet trade, exploration, political tension. But after the Silence Watcher awakened inside the dying star, that silence shattered. 6 new vault signals lit up across the galaxy, blinking like beacons of memory. They echoed through space and mind alike, broadcasting ancient codes in dead languages. AI across entire sectors short-circuited. Time itself twisted in small pockets. Civilizations forgot who they were, while others remembered things they never lived. Every major power, the Tethra swarm, the iceborne Concord, the silent axis went into full lockdown, except Earth. Because Earth did not retreat. Earth prepared to fight. Commander Ian Vale stood before the United Systems Assembly projected via hologram. Alien leaders buzzed and flickered in their chambers, their voices laced with fear and distrust. The signal from Earth's recovered witness cubes had begun leaking across jump relays. Memory storms were starting to ripple outward, waves of identity confusion, lost time, and mass psychic collapse. "You must shut down the witness cubes," hissed the Tethra swarm leader. "Their memory is a contagion, a disease. Their ancient weapons," the silent ambassador added, "not knowledge. They destroy history by overwriting it." But Vale didn't flinch. He spoke in calm, clear tones. "The vaults aren't spreading chaos. They're showing us the truth. We didn't just forget something. We were made to forget. Now the truth wants to come back." The room erupted in chaos, but Earth's choice was already made. Admiral Kren activated Protocol Sigma Blacka, full fleet deployment to seek out the remaining vaults and keys before they could fall into other hands. When the vote came to stop Earth by force, Vale's message to the galaxy was short: no. And Earth sent its deadliest. The Deathworlder expedition split into 3 task forces. Each would track one of the new vault signals. Hidden across forgotten sectors of the galaxy, places known for being cursed, quiet, or destroyed. Vale's fleet headed for Riven Halo, a ringed system once wiped clean by a solar weapon. The entire system was thought to be lifeless, but the vault signal was active. As the fleet entered Riven Halo, sensors began lying. One ship reported 2 moons, another 6. One crew member began aging in reverse, another forgot how to speak. The sky above their ship sometimes turned inside out, stars folding into themselves, like memories unraveling. At the center of the system, hidden beneath the shattered remains of an old mining planet, they found it. A vault made of black crystal, taller than a mountain, pulsing. It wasn't broadcasting in voices. It was broadcasting in emotion, pain, hope, betrayal, loss. Every Deathworlder in the landing team staggered, overwhelmed by grief not their own. One soldier collapsed, crying for her long-dead sister, someone she never had. Another sang an alien lullaby in a voice he didn't recognize. They were all remembering things that weren't theirs. Vale held firm, key in hand, the second Earth. Key he'd taken from Chrono 7 pulsed and pointed toward the crystal vault's entrance. As he entered, the crystal walls shimmered and became mirrors showing reflections of himself in 1,000 variations. Some were monstrous, some were dead. One was smiling too wide. Then he saw her again. Lyra, the woman from the first vault, her voice echoed softly. "You are becoming whole again, Ian. But the more you open, the closer it gets." He stopped. "What is it?" Lyra didn't answer. Instead, she held out her hand, and it was a third key. This one was red, burning faintly. It floated toward him, but as he reached out, something cracked in the crystal walls. The vault shuddered, and something else spoke. A voice unlike anything before. Not male, not female, not machine. A presence you are unworthy. The silence was mercy, and you rejected it. Suddenly, memories from every vault exploded into Vale's mind. Whole wars, ancient deaths, the screams of species long gone. Earth's own crimes, cities erased, enemies silenced, K-alliances betrayed. He fell to his knees, but he didn't drop the key, because he knew now the vaults were not just doors, they were locks on a prison, and Earth was unlocking each one. Back in orbit, Morris screamed into the comms. "Sir, something's coming through the void." Shadow was approaching Riven Halo. It didn't move through space, simply was folding in from somewhere beyond known coordinates. Not a ship, and not a fleet. A memory too large to be held. Visual. Kren barked. The answer came back cold. There is no shape. It's forgetting us as it arrives. Vale ran from the vault, third key in hand. "We need to go," he shouted. "It's watching again." A fleet jumped just before the shadow arrived, and the vault behind them shattered. From a safe system, Vale watched the recording one. Last time, The final frame, captured just before the cameras broke, showed the broken vault writing a final word in pure light. Run. But Earth would not. Run. Not now. They had the third key, and they were going to open all the rest, even if it meant waking the very thing the galaxy had buried, even if it meant Earth standing alone, because Earth had said no, and memory would make sure that the universe never forgot it. The stars no longer looked the same. Across the galaxy, memory storms rolled like space hurricanes, disrupting AI, distorting minds, rewriting thoughts. Ships drifted without knowing where they were going. Entire colonies woke up speaking languages that hadn't existed in centuries. Children dreamed of battles they'd never seen. People forgot their names and remembered ones they'd never had. The vaults were waking, and the thing behind them was stirring. Commander Ian Vale stood on the command deck of the GES Revenant. His eyes locked on the fourth vault signal, now pulsing from the edge of a system called Nedra Vale. No one had entered that sector in over 200 years. The last ship that tried was found hollow, its crew missing. Their personal logs filled with strange coordinates, riddles, and repeating phrases like, "The door is not a door." This was not just another vault. This was the first one ever built. The original lock. Lyra had told him the truth back in Riven Halo. You're not collecting keys, Ian. You're unlocking a prison that Earth helped seal. He now had 3 keys each, one changing him slowly. Sometimes he dreamed memories that weren't his. Sometimes he woke up and couldn't remember if he was still human. But he knew one thing. There was no turning back. The fleet arrived in Nedra. Veiled, the stars bent as they entered orbit. Gravity twisted in soft pulses. Instruments failed. Speech patterns broke down. One crew member began repeating the same sentence over and over. This place remembers too much. And below them, a door. Not a building, not a station, a literal door, half buried in a scorched black moon, large enough to be seen from space. It was made of stone and metal, glowing faintly with symbols no one could translate, except Vale. He could read them now, because the keys were changing him. He stepped into the dropship, carrying all 3 keys in a containment box strapped to his chest. Rila, Mora, and Reese joined him. Had been affected in different ways. Voices. Changes in behavior, but they stayed close to Vale. Loyalty or madness, it didn't matter anymore. What mattered was finishing what Earth had started. They landed on the black moon. The air was thick, not toxic, but heavy with thought. Each breath felt like breathing in someone else's memories. As they approached the door, it opened on its own. Behind it, darkness moved like water. Lights shimmered deep below. The stairs descended in a perfect spiral, leading down into the unknown. At the entrance, a new warning glowed on the wall. Do not enter without all 7 keys. But Vale stepped inside anyway, because something was calling him. Inside, the structure didn't obey normal space, rooms repeated. Hallways led back to themselves. Some areas looked like memories from Eartha Child's bedroom, a war zone, an abandoned city. Others showed alien places no one had ever seen. One hallway showed Vale his own faceholder. Broken, crying Ryla whispered, "Sir, I think this place shows what you fear most." But Vale only walked deeper. At the very heart of the vault was a perfect circle of stone, floating above a pit of light. In that pit, a shape not fully formed, not alive, but not dead. A presence made of thought, memory, and silence. As Vale stepped toward it, the witness cube he carried exploded with energy. The room shook. The shape rose. It had no face, no body. Only a suggestion of form light bent around it. Sound failed near it. Then it spoke. Not with words. With remembering suddenly. Vale saw it all. The original war. The birth of the witness vaults. Earth's choice to seal away not just an enemy, but an idea. The silence was never a creature. It was a weapon. A force. A viral memory designed to make civilizations erase themselves, forget why they lived. It's who they were until nothing remained. and now because Earth had opened too many locks. It was waking, you brought the keys, the silence whispered inside his mind. And now you will open the last one. The stone floor cracked. Light surged from the pit above. The rest of the fleet saw the moon shake, then begin to rise from its orbit. It wasn't a moon, it was a vessel, a vault ship. Memory Fortress meant to never move again, until now. Reese screamed, "It's going to jump!" Vale turned to run, but the vault collapsed behind them. Only one path remained forward. He reached the central altar, placed the 3 keys inside the machine built into the core. A, 4th lock, clicked open. The light turned black, and every mind in the galaxy heard one thought at once. 4 keys turned, 3 remain. The door is opening. Across deep space, old worlds cracked open, silent machines activated. Vaults hidden in dead suns and lost ruins began pulsing, and at the farthest edge of known space, something massive turned toward Earth for the first time in a million years. Not angry, not evil, just awake. Back in the vault, Vale collapsed. His eyes glowed faint blue, and a new message appeared on his chest monitor. Vale is not alone, because something had stepped into him, a piece of memory, a piece of what had once been forgotten on purpose, now remembered, and waiting for part 8, when Earth will remember everything. The stars above Earth flickered like dying candles. Something ancient was waking on every vault. Every key, every mind across the galaxy could feel it. The last vaults were no longer hiding, they were calling. 3 keys remained, and the door was almost open. On Earth, panic spread. People had begun remembering lives they never lived. Soldiers reported missions from centuries ago, on planets that no longer existed. Children drew star maps no one had taught them. And every night, millions dreamed of a vast figure made of light and silence, standing behind a door too large to close. Commander Ian Vale had not returned. The last signal from the vault moon, Nedra Vale, had shown him activating the 4th kith. Nothing. Just static. But 5 days later, he arrived. Not in a ship, not by beacon. He simply appeared outside Earth's Antarctic command vault. Barefoot, eyes glowing faint blue, clutching the 4th key in his hand. They brought him to high command, where doctors, generals, scientists, and psychic monitors waited. Vale said nothing for a full hour, just sat still, breathing slowly. Then he spoke. "I am still Ian Vale, but I'm not the only one here." They scanned him. His DNA was intact, but his thoughts weren't just his own. Something had fused with him, a memory too large for a single mind. It didn't control him. It shared him. He explained everything. The vaults were locks. Each key was a memory fragment, pieces of a weapon Earth had helped bury long ago. A weapon called the silence and intelligence of forgotten thought, being made of erased civilizations and unremembered wars. Earth had created the first vaults not to preserve memory, but to trap it. And now, the trap was breaking. The final 3 keys were no longer scattered. They were coming to Earth. One in orbit, one beneath the sea, and the last inside Vale himself. "I brought the last piece back," he told them. "It's waking." The sky broke open 2 days later. The vault ship that once slept beneath Nedra Vale arrived without warning, folding space around it. It blocked out the sun for 12 full minutes. Its shape was ever-changing, a fortress of mirrors and echoes. It hovered in low orbit, broadcasting a single word into every radio, mind, and screen. Now. Then the sea boiled in the Mariana Trench. Something rose. A vault, long buried, older than any Earth tech. Older than bones, emerged like a mountain of black glass. It split the ocean and screamed into the sky, not with sound, but with grief. At the same moment, satellites picked up strange lights inside Antarctica's deepest fault lines. Far beneath the ice, a core of light pulsed. In rhythm with Vale's heartbeat, Earth was surrounded, and then Earth remembered, not all at once, fast enough to shatter peace. All the memories they had sealed away, the species they destroyed. The civilizations erased for fear of chaos. The wars Earth pretended never happened came roaring back, not as stories, as reality. The stars shifted, the whole timeline's twisted, and the thing behind the vaults stepped forward. Not a monster, not a god, but the silence, the collective grief of 1,000 extinct empires. It didn't attack. Why did you forget us? From Vale, still human, still Deathworlder, but now part of something bigger. He stood before the vault mind, face lit by memory fire, and whispered, "Because we were afraid." The silence replied, "You were right to be." Above Earth, the vault ship began to descend. It did not fire weapons. Cities collapsed under the weight of their own forgotten sins. Old enemies came back to life, not physically, but inside the minds of people who had never known them. Some went mad. Others simply vanished. High Command activated Protocol Black, Eternity Total Planetary Lockdown. But Vale stopped them. If we seal the vaults again, we'll just be delaying the truth. Earth will rot from the inside out, Admiral Kren asked. Then what do we do? Vale placed the final 3 keys into the vault core in Antarctica. As they activated, a beam of memory light rose from the South Pole and pierced the sky, linking Earth to the orbiting vault ship and the deep-sea vault together. For the first time, all witnesses were connected. Vale entered the core and met himself, not a copy, but the first version of him, the one who had helped seal the silence long ago. Who had made the choice to erase history? Why did you bring it back? The older self asked. Vale looked out at a sky burning with memory and said, "Because forgetting didn't save us. It only delayed the war." The two merged, and the core spoke. Across the galaxy, every mind heard the same message. We remember now, and we will not run. The silence paused, then whispered, then let memory burn. The vaults exploded, not in destruction, but in release. All stored memory, every civilization, every name, every forgotten soul was returned to the galaxy. In a burst of light, no more hiding, no more silence. The stars wept with truth, and Earth, reborn in memory, stood ready. The war was no longer about power, it was about identity, and for the first time in 1,000,000 years, Earth remembered who they truly were. Deathworlders, witnesses, keepers of memory, and the silence would learn. Some things should never be forgotten.